Heather McDonald has got the juiciest scoop. When you're on the road, when you're on the go, Juicy Scoop is the show to know. She talks Hollywood tales, her real life Mr. Segment serial data, and serial sister. You'll be addicted and addicted fast to the #1 tabloid real life podcast. Listen in, listen up. Woo woo. Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop.
Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. I have one of your favorite returned guests. He is award-winning. We'll get through all the awards. Writers Guild, so many.
Yes.
You are a comedian. You are a stand-up. You are an author. You are a showrunner. You are a show creator. You are an uncle. You are a daddy. Are you bordering on zaddy?
I mean, I think I'm
Guy
more
Branum, everybody.
I'm more just straightforward daddy. I'm
Okay.
like traditional daddy, you know?
Okay.
Yes.
But you also have dad traits because you know how to do shit.
Yeah, some things.
So there's it's nice to have. Yeah, no, you know what I was thinking about? This is so embarrassing.
What?
When we shared an office together,
Yes.
you were the first person. This is embarrassing to tell me. This is how long ago it was when we were at Chelsea lately. You're like, no, this is how you use Google and Safari to find all the stuff. I didn't really know how to do it. I was just getting stories from the magazines or whatever and writing jokes and things. And I was like, oh my God, I could just type in Julia Roberts, Kiefer Sutherland, and come up with everything.
It's so funny because you and I were both sort of very much cultural repositories, people who were keeping these things on our brain. And it really was that moment when you started to be able to go to the internet to verify this thing that I remember, but also started losing all of that amazing memory that we had to keep going. Yeah. But it really was. What a beautiful 3 years we spent together.
Yes. And you've really grown up in so many ways. So tell us about the latest award that you got for writing.
So I got a Writers Guild Award last week, 2 weeks ago. Before that, a Golden because I was a producer on Hacks, a writer and producer on Hacks. And so we've really been doing very well this season. After, The Bear was winning everything. And so I assumed, we'll get these nominations. That will be nice. But then we won at the Emmys. We won at the Golden Globes. I still have not received my Golden Globe. It was...
So wait, so you have an Emmy,
a
Writers Guild.
Yes.
A Golden Globe is in the mail.
A Golden Globe is in the mail. I don't know if I'm getting a Critics' Choice Award.
Oh my God. And then I know you always have so many projects, but are you back in the Hacks producing or have you left the show?
No. I'm not on the show anymore. Okay. On season 4, budgets are just getting smaller across entertainment now. And so they had to reduce the size of the writer's room, which was really frustrating. But it's hard to be frustrated when you keep getting awards.
What a great attitude. And you know what? Life's rejection is God's protection. And if you were, if you were stuck in that writer's room, an opportunity or two that might be your own thing might not have been able to happen because you would be spread too thin.
It is such an evolved...
Guy Branum, you're going to be our next Mike White. You already are in your own thing. People will say you're going to be the next Guy Branum. That's what they're going to say kids soon.
You're very kind. But it's also it is such an evolving industry that I am so impressed by people like you who have been able to say things are changing. I'm going to be part of that change and made an empire for yourself. And
Thank you.
You see other people who through TikTok or whatever means are doing that. And I think especially as we get older, I remember this guy, you probably don't remember him, but his name was Jason Nash.
Yes, I know Jason Nash. Jason Nash, though, I want to tell you, just to go back, remember, this is a good one. You were supposed to have a pilot with Ross Matthews. That was going to, Chelsea had a deal to do different shows. Mm-hmm. And you guys had it. And then they decided that they didn't want you. They didn't tell you in a nice way.
Yes.
Wasn't it we shared an office together and then they called you in and then they called me in and they said they think it'd be better if he was paired with a woman.
Yes.
And so then I got paired with Ross.
Yes.
And then I had 2 weeks to help with this, to do this pilot. And they said, you could have 2 writers.
Yeah.
And Jen Kirkman had left the show to work on a sitcom. And I wrote her and I go, do you know anybody? She goes, wait, I'm free. I'd like to do it. I go, well, then you know a second person. And she brought on Jason Nash.
Oh, that's lovely.
And he worked on the pilot, but then it didn't go. And then the same people that were sensitive, a little insensitive to you, called me in.
Yes.
And said, the show is not going. The Ross and Heather show is not going because you tested so poorly with the focus groups that they just want to give Ross his own show.
Well, first of all, the hilarious thing is that anything that was considered a horrible failure back then would now be the biggest hit on television. Everything gets a 0.5. And Jason Nash, like after that, made himself into a Vine star back when there was Vine as like a guy in like his mid-30s with all of these 20-year-olds. And I was like, that's so impressive. And seeing people now who just figure out how to... Have I talked to you about the Orthodox Jewish woman who's huge on TikTok? Do you follow her? Her name is Miriam Izagui. Okay. You have to follow her on TikTok. Our children are adorable. And it is just so crazy that like half the people I know just follow this woman who does videos of, here's all the kosher food I eat today.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody, it's an exciting time. But
it's an exciting,
so you have exciting
time.
stuff. So let's get into some juicy news, Bravo news. This is Real Housewives of Potomac. And Karen Huger, who calls herself the Grande Dame, and she's, been married to this guy forever. She's 61 years old. In March of 2024, she got in a car accident. She drove into a tree. She was by herself. She was not not really injured. The cops came. Her husband came. She was arrested for driving under the influence. So throughout the filming, she claims that she's innocent. It's all going to work out. She can't talk about it. And then she also, we don't really see her drink that much, but she also doesn't say that she has a drinking problem. So then right when she gets sentenced, it's right before the reunion, and she decided not to do a plea. She did not go to rehab. She said, I insist on a trial. She had a trial. In which then we saw the after the trial was done, then they released the police cam videos, and she's in very wasted, and she's telling the cop, "Don't you know who I am? Don't you know who Andy Cohen is?" And then she goes, "And I'm Thomas."
The full Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, she goes, "And I'm Thomas Jefferson's concubine." So she is beyond wasted, and she's like, "Whoa, I'm wasted." So then they convict her. Yes. For the DUI. Also, she had 3 other DUIs. 2006 was one, a 2011, and then there was one that was like a little bit diminished, but still like a DUI. So today she got sentenced. And she got 2 years suspended, meaning she does 1 year in prison and 1 year like probation, whatever. And she went off to, they like put the handcuffs on her, and now she has like 30 days to try to fight it or appeal it. So I called Shannon and Michael Goldstein, my sister and brother-in-law, about it. And this is where, I don't know if it's her entitlement or bad advice from the attorney, but the first thing Shannon said was she should have gone to rehab the minute she got released from prison, and she should have done a plea deal with those previous things. But she didn't do either. She insisted on the trial, and she didn't go to the rehab until after she was sentenced, in which then she also didn't go to the reunion. Skip the reunion. So there you go. Juicy.
Okay. First of all, I think the minute that happens, you become the national spokesperson for petit mal seizures. Like you just claim that you have some sort of disorder that made it happen. You become a spokesperson and do a lot of good so that they're like, oh, well, you don't let anyone see that footage. Does it make you sad that we no longer live in an age of TV movies where when like a grand lady goes off to be in prison for a year, we don't get Sybil Shepherd playing her in prison? Like,
you're right. It would be. Well, look, I know there is going to be some great scripted movie soon that involves a Real Housewife story or fake. But
we haven't had any sort of movies that are set in that world is fascinating to me. I realize it's a hard world to script, but I feel like there are enough iterations of it now that you could do something good with it.
Well, a couple things.
Yes.
One is her defense of like why she shouldn't do time or to mitigate why she made this poor decision of driving intoxicated. She said she was still reeling from the death of her 2 parents. One died in 2017, and the other one died 7 months later in 2018. And the accident happened in 2024, and she's 61. So I'm sorry. I don't think that applies. Yes. She also said she was taking antidepressants, which she was prescribed to her when she had a sexual assault happen when she was in college.
Yeah.
And so she was still reeling from that and the death of her parents. And then she upped it. And then she said, I had to up my prescription to 2 antidepressants because I have so much responsibility as being the Grand Dame of Potomac.
I mean, none of this changes the fact that there's Uber on your phone.
Exactly. Well, then the judge or the prosecutor said, you've had these other DUIs, so I don't doubt that you've probably driven drunk, who knows how many more times and just didn't get caught. If you got caught 4 times in the last, 15 years, like how many times were you just like rolling the dice?
Do you think that being on a Real Housewives show pushes people towards alcoholism? There is so much liquor lubricating the interactions there. Do you think it is something that Bravo needs to look at?
Well, I definitely think that you get people who are fun personalities or not, and they're not actors, and they can drink and eat, and they're supposed to be themselves. And if you're really being a reality star, you would have an alcoholic drink at a 4th of July party. You would have, for me, when I am on camera, obviously I'm never drinking, but when I do stand-up, I'm never drinking. Yeah. So it's like, but I'm not nervous about being in front of the camera. So I think if they pick people who like to drink a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you add on, oh my God, we're filming and I want to drink and I want to get through this. And so, yes, for certain people, it's obviously not a good thing.
Carol Radziwill saying her hard policy of never more than 1 drink when we're shooting seemed like really, really smart to me, like to be in control of who you are.
Lisa Vanderpump was too. She'd always be like, I'll have a rosé, or she'd like sip on it. We've never seen her buzzed ever.
But they're both such controlled personalities. And it is like for some of those people,
right.
Like you want Sonia a couple of drinks in.
But then some people said it got too much. Like she's become almost like a caricature of herself.
Yeah.
And but we got to see that footage and everything because of the trial. And once the trial was done, they showed the police footage. Before that, we never saw it. And what's interesting is that Shannon Bedore, who also got a DUI in Newport, she is a housewife. She was driving and crashed into like a house. Nobody was hurt. Then she got out of the car and walked away with the dog with blood coming down her face so that she could like maybe not get caught. And they caught her. And she has totally right from the start accepted responsibility. She never said she's an alcoholic, and she's never said that she can't drink. And we've seen her drink throughout the season, but she got the good lawyer. We've never seen a mugshot.
Yeah.
And we never saw the police cam footage. And I think it's because whatever the precautions she took with that attorney protected her.
It's an opposite skill set to Real Housewives. Like Real Housewives is about never admitting you're wrong and just sort of attack.
Right.
And it's like, in this situation, they need to have somebody there who can say like, just go to rehab,
Right. But these people just don't want to admit that they like have an issue. Right away, I'd be like, I'm going to rehab for sure. Like most people do. And most people would take the advice of their attorneys, but she's so like her whole personality, which is so good for housewives, is that she believes she is so above everybody. She's so entitled and like has no self-awareness. So that's that. So looking for a weight loss solution that actually works? Weight Loss by Hers provides access to GLP-1 medications with personalized care to help you hit your goals. Hers is transforming women's healthcare by providing access to affordable weight loss treatment plans delivered straight to your door if prescribed. Hers offers a holistic weight loss program with personalized solutions, including compounded GLP-1s, weekly injections featuring the same active ingredients as Ozempic and Wegovy, or oral medication kits. If you've been struggling with your weight loss journey, it is time for you to find the best solution for you. Get on it, feel better. It's so simple, so easy. Start your initial free online visit today at forhers.com/juicyscoop. That's FORHERS.com/juicyscoop for your personalized weight loss treatment options. forhers.com/juicyscoop. Hers weight loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA-approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded. Actual price depends on product and plan purchased. For me, getting a great night's sleep means putting away the phone, turning off the TV, reading an actual book, having a little bit of water by my bed, making sure it's dark. But the best thing is my sheets. And that's why if you really want to change the way you sleep, you need to upgrade to Boll & Branch 100% organic cotton sheets. Oh my God, I love these sheets. You will fall asleep faster with a luxurious softness that puts you in instant relaxation mode. You'll spend every night in buttery, breathable comfort and feel your sheets get softer with every wash. Discover the difference with Boll & Branch 30-night guarantee. Think about it. You spend about a third of your life in bed. Why are you not having the best sheets possible? You deserve it. Now's your chance to change the way you sleep with Boll & Branch. Get 15% off plus free shipping on your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com/juicyscoop. That's Boll & Branch, BOLLAND branch.com/juicyscoop to save 15%. Exclusions apply. See site for details. The Baldwins has premiered on TLC. And, TLC is a network that features people with a lot of kids. This is, Kate plus 8. Right. This is, sextuplets or whatever my 18 daughters,
yes.
The little people that have a lot of other little people. So they're on the show.
He's the one where Hilaria was pregnant and they were baking another one in another womb at the same time,
yes,
right?
There was something that happened. They have 7 kids. Yeah. There was something that happened where I want to say she did a surrogacy and then found out she was pregnant too. So Amazing. They were like 3 months apart. And of course, she's known for lying about being from Spain.
Yes,
they address it. First of all, they address the horrible killing of Helena, and say it was the worst thing we went through, and the kids are aware of it, and all of this. And he's like, it really changed my life. Now, Pio, the first thing you're going is, why are they doing this TV show? Well, I think this is the greatest PSA to show men over 50 why you might not want to start over again. Because he looks so fucking tired. He's 66 years old. He's going to be 67 in April. Has 7 kids from like 12 to under 1. And the bags, I'm sure he'll get fixed after he sees this season. But like the bags under his eyes, it's so exhausting. They don't seem into each other at all. He's deathly allergic to cats, and she's bought 4 and throws them in a car that he's supposed to travel in.
What the fuck?
I know. And then he goes, I like you best when you're sleeping. Like, just shut the fuck up. And then then she starts talking, and he goes, you're speaking in English, but you're doing it with a Spanish accent, which is very difficult for me. Like, they literally now talk about the fact. And she goes, yes, it happened. I love speaking Spanish. I love speaking English. And sometimes I just mix the most, and I want my kids to be bilingual. Some people think that's strange. I think that's very normal. And so then she'll be like, talk to the kid in Spanish. And then she's like, as hell, talks normal. Just says, and now my family, they all live in Spain, but they weren't from Spain. They're from Boston.
Yeah.
And she just kind of gets past that. But I think it's going to be a hit because it is like, I can't believe he's exposing all his kids to being on camera. Well, I think they need the money.
So many of those basic cable networks are now just, MTV is just ridiculousness all day long. It's just the same thing all day long.
Right.
And I miss that kind of television production, that kind of stuff. It makes me happy that it exists. I actually worked with him on a show like 3 years ago. It was him and Kelsey Grammer, the showrunner of Modern Family, just sort of like a...
What was it about?
It was basically like male Golden Girls. It was like 3 older guys who lived together. Great premise. And like he and Kelsey Grammer were both sort of like going back to television because they had so many kids that they needed the money. But the one thing was that he had this Western that he was really into, and we were going to have to stop down during the summer. And then the show ended up like not going.
So you guys filmed the pilot, but the pilot didn't get picked up.
Well, it had already been picked up to series, but after the pilot, the studio was like, we don't want to do this.
Oh, because you were waiting. It was going to go, and then the horrible accident happened.
I mean, it was complex, but yes, that happened. But like he and Kelsey Grammer were both like the best and so wonderful. And you remember Alec Mapa, don't you?
That name is so familiar.
He's a comic. He's a
gay
guy.
Yes. He was in it too.
He was the third one. And so it was like really, really great. And it was a pleasure to work with. But it was so funny that this like weird scheduling thing that we knew about then turned out to be, rust.
Right. But, and then, Kelsey Grammer has, Camille Grammer and 2 grown kids. He's his ex-wife. And then he got her on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills so he could pursue this other girl that he met in New York while he's doing a play. Yes. And then he had a couple kids with her.
He has more than 2 grown kids because...
No, he has other grown kids from before Camille. Then he's got now like college age with Camille.
Yeah.
And then he's got like elementary with the last one.
But I mean, to me, like... It's amazing that after all of his film work and 30 Rock, he is like, I need to bring the bacon in, but also that's a lot of kids. Like, it does,
I mean, I can understand.
Is menopause so bad? Like, having nature be like, not now. Like, men.
So she said, okay, so they're 26 years apart. And she said she met him when he was 53. And, he still looked real hot at 53.
Of course.
This is what I tell girls about dating older guys. When you are, 30 and he's 50, those guys still want to go to Vegas. They still want to party. They still want to hang out with your friends in Cabo. Right. They're still down.
Yes.
Once they get to closer to 60, they don't want to do shit. Yeah. And now you're barely 40. And it's not a great combo because you're at and like a 40-year-old today woman that's put together like her is like a 25-year-old.
You have one boutique child with that man. You have
one anchor baby.
You have one baron, and that's it.
You have one anchor baby to just lock it down.
Yes.
And he said to her though, I definitely want to have more kids. He had with what's her name? What's his first wife's name?
Oh, Kim Basinger.
Kim Basinger, he had Ireland with. And I remember when they were going through the separation, Ireland was about 8. And the 3 of them were at a play place called Under the Sea.
Uh-huh.
And my friend's kid was there. And she goes, get over here. Like they are at.
Yeah.
And so I observed. And he was very engaged in playing with her and everything. And I remember Ireland being like, but why can't he come home with us, Mom?
Oh.
I know. So then,
do you think this is his natural Irish Catholicness? Do you
think?
So
yeah, because he said his brother said, he used to make fun of me when I was on my 3rd and 4th kid, going, "What are you, Dad?" Because they're a family of 6.
Right.
I mean, the 4 famous brothers act, but I guess there's 2 more.
Yes,
or 2 more sisters. I don't know. They're a family of 6.
It's 2 sisters, I think.
Yeah, and so. He's like, so I think it's funny now that he has 7. And so she's like, we're trying to go to the Hamptons. And I have, I have to do all the cars because I have the 7 kids, the 8 pets, 4 cats, 4 dogs, 2 nannies. And then he's like, well, can the boys drive with me? And she's like, no, they can't.
You want to know what I think is a fascinating dynamic? Yeah. When you have mixed families who have very disparate inheritance situations, because I was thinking about like Ireland, like, she's going to get all of her mom's money, where these kids are going to have to split things up. And the thing I think is most fascinating was Julia Louis-Dreyfus having those half-siblings who aren't billionaires.
A lot of people don't know that Julia Louis-Dreyfus came from extreme wealth, right?
Yes. She's the most talented person in the world.
No, I know.
No one's questioning it.
No.
But her dad's a straight-up French billionaire, and she has a sister who's also an actress, but whose dad is not a billionaire. And I'm always like, that was probably weird.
So that was the blonde actress?
Yes.
Okay, so when I did an episode of the show Watching Ellie, which was right after Seinfeld, but before the old Christine.
Yes, but she still won an Emmy for it. She still
And her husband, and it was her husband's idea. So each episode... you'd be watching it the entire 22 minutes.
Yes.
So that was kind of the niche of it. I kind of think it was ahead of its time.
Yes.
So, but anyway, I did one episode. She was beyond lovely. And that's when I learned that, this girl who plays her friend is actually her half-sister, this blonde girl.
Yeah.
And, and so down to earth, so lovely. I remember the little boys coming in and with like the perfect little face. Like one was like 4. They were so cute. So, that is interesting.
It will be interesting for these kids if, what happens when you have a super famous dad who,
Well, when all the shit went down with people making fun of it, and how do you say cucumber? And her absolutely lying about being like in numerous interviews, acting like English is a second language, acting like she's from Spain. He even would do interviews and say, my wife's Spanish, and he would do the accent. They were basically just both acting like Sofia Vergara, like 100%. I don't think he ever knew. I don't think he ever asked to look at her yearbook. I don't think he ever asked. I think he fell in love with her. She said they got married very fast, got pregnant very fast. I don't think he knew the truth until someone went on that deep dive and put it on Twitter.
I love a good swindle. I love a good fabulist. I love any kind of talented Mr. Ripley situation.
Grifters.
Yeah.
I love a grift. And but I remember the minute that whole thing broke, Ireland was very sweet about her stepmom.
Yeah.
She was like, she's the most lovely person I know. Like, fuck you guys, blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, she even made fun of the little pig thing. Like when he called his daughter on the answer machine a little pig. And, I think that was because she was 13. It was his weekend. Yeah. And she wanted to be with her friends or whatever. And he took it real sensitive, left that message. Kim released it. And, but now he is the most exhausted man ever. He is coming off. I was reading all the comments, and he is coming off as the likable one, and she's becoming off kind of like an evil bitch with the cats. I can't imagine having the cats if your husband was severely allergic.
That is insane. I think this is really good rehabilitation for him, just because, like, the Rust thing is rough. He is the person who pulled the trigger on a gun that killed someone, and being able to see that, as a situation that he's not culpable for is really hard. And I think he has so much goodwill from the past that he really does need. And there have been so many people who people have said, like, I just don't want to work with him anymore, that kind of thing. And I think people are uncertain about how they should approach Alec Baldwin. And I think.
But when you worked with him, he was a delight.
He was a delight. Like both of them were pros. I was always like, until the first Emmy nominations come and somebody gets snubbed, then things will get, it was one of those where I'm sure once the show was successful, they would have been miserable, but they were like consummate professionals.
When I did my episode of Frasier,
yes,
it's a lot about me today. I remember I was like in this small room because they filmed it at Paramount.
Yeah.
And on one of the lucky stages, which was where Cheers was. And I want to say even like I Love Lucy. Okay. Yeah. It was like, so we're in this room that honestly is not bigger than this. And they're all sitting around.
Oh, because they had the little room where they would all sit together.
Yes, they would all sit together. And they're like all talking about like, oh, what are you doing this weekend? And oh, you should try this restaurant. And they're just talking to each other, and they're including me.
Yeah.
The one, and I'm like got a very small part for the guest week. And I'm like, so like, where's your dressing rooms? And they're like, oh, no, we don't use those till tape day. We just hang out here. And I'm like, that's the reason these shows, like Friends, that's why there's reasons, and why even reality shows of the more popular, like the original Roni and stuff. Because those women were real friends, and they did talk when they weren't filming. And like, but even with a scripted show, my God, you get people that actually want to hang out.
Right.
And it was like, and he was a total delight. And Camille was a total delight.
Yeah.
Like they were so nice. So it's just, I'm not surprised. But I want to say, like, I don't blame him for doing this. Obviously, maybe he's like, look, I don't want to go do all these movies anymore. How can I actually be at home with my kids? My wife wants to do this. We're going to be honest about the fake Spanish. We're going to be honest about the horrible tragedy. I mean, the kids are running around. It's a little chaotic to watch. And the kids are going to be exposed and talked about. But I don't know.
His strength always comes from back when he was the hottest 30-year-old imaginable to now, like, charming Irish bastard, And I think the more you get to see him, the more you love him. And I do think that he has one of those careers that at 65 and beyond could blossom again in a new way, because he is just that lovable.
Well, there's a comedian that does a Trump impression that recently, and like TMZ picked it up. He was getting out of the car, like in front of his house in New York.
Is it Anthony Antoniuk or
no, his name is like Jason something.
Okay.
And so he's talking to him, being Trump, while he's like getting his bags out. But then he goes and brings up the shooting and everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, most of the comment, and then he got mad. Then he's like, turns around and Alex is like, I'm gonna fucking like break you in half, which is all being filmed and everything. So TMZ picked it up. But I think the consensus was just like, you can do a funny impression, you can do all that stuff, but like invading someone's space as they're like getting their bags out.
Yeah.
And I didn't agree with it.
Most of the TikTokers are terrible. Did you hear about that girl who was peeing in a supermarket and got arrested? But
wait, tell that story.
Oh, I don't. It was just a TikToker.
They said they found videos that she's been doing it for a long time. It wasn't a one-time peeing at the supermarket where she worked.
My joke
on the food.
My joke is that pranks are just crimes committed by heterosexual Caucasians, teenagers. Like pranks are just I broke a law, but haha, I was joking. But Alec Baldwin famously, there was an LA comic who accused Alec Baldwin of just straight up stealing his impression.
Impression of what?
Of Trump. Of like he saw Anthony do Trump and like he like picked up the tics and that kind of thing.
And he sued him?
He didn't sue him. He was just like, that's not okay.
Okay. That's ridiculous. To me, that's ridiculous.
Okay.
Because I feel like an impression, nobody owns an impression. I believe that I remember even, I think it was Dana Carvey said, the best way to do an impression, sometimes my best impressions are that I've seen someone else do an impression. And I go, oh, and then they do see that.
Oh,
so,
that's interesting.
I mean, if you see it, you see it, and then you do your own thing. Or like all of a sudden you see somebody and you're like, oh, I never thought of doing that person, but they do that weird thing. And I know that people have been like, oh, because of your Jennifer Aniston, now I do Jennifer Aniston. And I'm like, well, you probably shouldn't tell me that, but whatever, go ahead, do your thing. Like, you can't get mad at it, but I think that's a pretty far stretch.
I don't know.
So you're on the guy's side.
I'm on his side.
Okay, that's fine.
But it's also not my style of comedy. You know, I respect impressionists so much because I feel like watching you see somebody and clock them, it required such a subtlety of seeing someone that I really respected it.
I think that the genius of it, as far as a comedian, not when you're just doing it in a script, is like who's saying the most dead on funny stuff as the character with the point of view of the character. And that's something I think I do really well. There's probably other people that do some of the same impressions I do that I don't think are as good because I don't think they can write as funny of stuff.
You've seen James Adomian do Bernie Sanders, haven't you?
Bernie Sanders?
Yes, he does the best Bernie Sanders. And it is just like his joke is the top 1% to the 7%. And like now, every time I see Bernie Sanders, it's not just the voice of the mannerisms, it is understanding what's ridiculous about the content.
Right, yes. And what would be his point of view on anything. But anyway, I mean, you know, I have strong feelings about featuring kids this much. You know, in the Housewives, kids are barely featured anymore.
I love when there are like clear legal issues around who, like, I love that Sonia's daughter we couldn't see until after she turned 18 and was able to consent on her own. Yeah. Because the billionaire wouldn't have allowed it. Watching Portia grow up on Beverly Hills was like amazing and like so sweet. But I understand not wanting your kids there. And with TikTokers and with YouTubers, I do think it is so interesting because some people, it seems so sweet. I love watching TikToks of kids because I think kids are the funniest, but there is just the weirdness of like. So
there's different rules. So this being a reality show,
yes,
I don't know if they're being paid or if the parents are choosing to pay them out of their salary. Right. On Housewives, only the wife gets the money.
Uh-huh.
The husband doesn't get paid. If the kids are over 18 and they're interesting enough, they can go ahead and maybe negotiate their own thing like Vicki Gulvinson's daughter did.
Yeah.
So, and now there's new laws, California state being one of them, that if you make money off of social media and your kids are featured, you have to pay them.
Oh.
So people are doing deep dives of some of their favorite YouTube families that are all moving.
Oh, wow.
And they are moving to certain states that law is not there.
Well, I mean, then they can get some cows and make butter like tradwives, you know?
I mean, I don't know, but like that's the thought. And okay, also a new reality show is Denise Richards is coming back. I feel like this photo is very much reminiscent of the first season of the Kardashians.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's all of them framed in a photo, and then below they have pajama pants on. The first season of Kardashians, they were all doing like doing dressing, and then the curtain fell, and it was like their house, like, and then it was like, oh, like you're not seeing, so it very feels, and they're asking for stuff like this. I think 2000 stuff.
I think Denise is an amazing housewife. I think this will be a boring show. I think she is best when reacting to the ridiculousness of other housewives. I just don't trust that this...
Like when Dorit was like, I think your jacket's backwards.
Yes. Like...
I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing, Dorit. It's not nice, okay?
I mean, that actually makes me change my opinion. The shit that does remind me that she's very ridiculous.
I've heard this is good.
Oh, really?
I've heard it's good.
Yeah.
So we'll see. So they got the one daughter who's made over $3 million on OnlyFans.
Jesus.
And then the other one is very Christian.
How many of them belong to Charlie?
Just the two blondes, and the brunette is a daughter she adopted on her own who has disabilities, but is going to be in the show as well.
And who's the man?
The man is her second husband, Aaron, and he was featured on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and he seemed to have kind of a version of like a Reiki, kind of like lay in this weird machine, and then we test the energy, and that's how she met him. And then when people would ask about the business, I don't know if the business still exists.
I do think that figuring out how to make TV of the kind that we loved in the 2000s.
That's what they're trying to do.
And letting that live on streaming, finding the right way for it to live on streaming is so interesting. And I think part of the problem is don't make fucking 8 episodes. Like, how can you make 20?
As a producer, that's what you would do. Make 20.
Yes, because people want stuff that they can turn on and it just keeps going.
And suck you in, yeah.
Yes, they don't need it to have the most interesting of arcs.
And you just want to watch this family. You just want to get in their house and see their... Like, I think that's why the Kardashians in the beginning didn't really have, like, big dramatic storylines. We were just really fascinated by just seeing them be true sisters. Like, you fucking took my genes and all that kind of stuff that we had never seen. And now I feel like the new Kardashians, they are, in my opinion, it sounds like from what I've seen, they are sort of creating like housewife moments between the sisters.
Yeah.
Like, we're not getting along, da-da-da-da, when they do. And like, they do great as a family. But at a certain point, you've got to be like, how are we going to fill the 10 episodes this season up for Hulu? What are we going to be doing if our lives are pretty chill, you know?
And I think, the show always had strong elements of scripting. Like back in the day, it was just sort of like light domestic comedy and it was nice, but those producers do real work.
Right. Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay, so this is very sad. Michelle Trachtenberg has passed, and she was on Gossip Girl. And
the
she's
Buffy
39.
reboot was just about to happen, and
was she in it?
Yes, she just like appeared in season 5. Buffy had a younger sister from out of nowhere, and a bunch of people hated her. I loved her, but it was, I mean, to me, it is almost like metaphysical that this character who like was manifested into reality for the show disappeared just before the show came back. I
did not watch Gossip Girl, so I don't know how big her role was, or like if Blake Lively, worked with her, or Blake Lively will speak up about it. What I find really sad about this and quite shocking is she's only 39.
Yeah.
And she had a liver transplant because she had so many complications with her liver due to alcoholism.
Yeah.
And they said then she was just at dinner last week at some place in Soho, and then they found her unresponsive, and she died from complications of the transplant.
Yeah.
And I think this is a real lesson that you could actually be this ill from alcoholism at only 39. That's just, I mean, so maybe, God, horrible.
It's really rough, and it is the unfortunate truth. I asked a friend who was a producer on one of the shows that to me has dealt best with child actors, like a show where several of the leads had been child actors. One of the leads you worked with very closely in your past.
You can't say.
I mean, it was Tracy Ellis Ross. Like it was Blackish. Like
okay.
And I asked one of the producers that I am friends with.
Those kids on Blackish.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, what's the right way of doing it? You guys did it so right. And she was just like, it should all be AI. Like there's no way of having children in that environment.
She really said that.
Yeah. Like, and I do just think.
I mean, that's what Corey Feldman told me years ago.
Yeah, and those children are all successes and doing well. But I just think it is really hard for kids to grow up.
Well, that's why the YouTube families and like the Ruby Frank, that Ruby Frank was the Mormon mom that just got convicted for severe child abuse, and she had a huge following, and she had 6 kids. And the Ruby Frank doc comes out Thursday today, because this will be, and I interviewed a woman, which I will feature that interview on next week, who is a journalist who has interviewed all these former children of like YouTube stars, and how they'll say, well, if you don't want to talk about how you got your period for the first time today, then I guess we're not going to Disneyland, and you want to tell your little brothers and sisters we have to move out of the house. Like, there's numerous stories about that. And so, and when I interviewed Corey Feldman years ago, he said the same thing. No child should be a child actor. Yeah. And I was like, now this was like eight years ago that he was on my show. And I was like, well, what are we supposed to do? I mean, stories require sometimes kids to tell the proper story. And I wonder if that might, I mean, we have the capability to do it, but I don't want to like get rid of actors.
Right.
But you never know like where it might take us.
And there are also things of, like, you look at so many successes, like, I was just talking to a makeup lady who was talking about working with Brie Larson when she was so young and how amazing she was, and look at where she's gone. And you have people like that, or Timothée Chalamet, who started.
I think Ron Howard is really the poster child.
Yes. You know.
Yeah. But it's,
this is very sad.
So this is very sad. So just like some updates on the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Now, you have not been on Juicy Scoop to discuss this.
No.
So I want to just get your thoughts before I give the few updates that have happened since my last show.
I don't fully understand what's going on. I know that for some reason I'm supposed to hate all of these people.
Who was telling you to hate all these people?
People I was at a dinner party with on last Friday, and then just before that.
And what was the sentiment? Just like, oh, shut up already?
It was sort of like...
So these are Hollywood people.
Justin Baldoni seems really cringe and annoying. And also, we are inclined, we should believe women, but also it turns out that I guess like the New York Times posted texts from Blake Lively where they had left out things that clearly indicated that they were jokes and stuff like that. Well, I don't fully understand it.
I don't like anybody that's like, I'm just sick of this story. So therefore, shut up defending yourself.
Yeah.
So I, when it first came out, I was totally believed Blake Lively.
Yeah.
I remember hearing bad stuff about her. I believe that maybe there was a smear campaign. He has brought the receipts, and he is not stopping. And more and more and more, thanks to the world we live in, and internet journalists that can do their own and they have told on themselves, Ryan and Blake, so many times in so many interviews in the last 10 years. Blake, Ryan Reynolds, he did this whole character called Nice Pool that was featured in the last Deadpool, which is clearly making fun of Justin Baldoni. But the timeline of him creating that character was like, you're making fun of this person that supposedly was harassing your wife. Like, it just doesn't seem real. There's so much that I've discussed that I don't want to like get all back into because I don't want to bore my audience. But the latest is there is a scene where they're doing like a montage of like a makeout, kind of like a light makeout dancing scene. And he released it because in her complaint, she said that's where he, snuggled my neck and I, without consulting me, when he like had the intimate coordinator, all that stuff. Yeah. So he shows it to show how they're talking about random things. And then they're like, cut. And he like walks away and she's laughing and talking about how he should get a nose job and this and that. And so then someone goes, oh my God, this same move that she's doing is exactly like the dance scene, the first dance scene that she had in Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds when she was with Penn Badgley and he was married to Scarlett Johansson, and then they fell in love and got married. So it was like the main thought is, was Ryan Reynolds jealous of the relationship that he thought they might have been having? Was she flirting? Did she want something more? There clearly never happened. No, neither of them ever cheated on anybody. Justin didn't want Blake, but did he kind of reject her and then she went after, or did Ryan get jealous and see everything like texts and stuff? And because one of the texts that she left was joking back and forth, and she says something like, "Oh, that's me," or something about no teeth. Mm-hmm. Which is, I can't remember the text, but it's insinuating a blowjob. Yeah. No teeth. So that's what you're saying to your and then she took the composer away. So he got the musical composer who had done all these amazing, let me get to the composer one. Okay. So sad truth. This is from Daily Mail. Behind Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's feud over the unnamed It Ends With Us composer revealed. He had this composer that had this illustrious career. I can't remember all the things. He Fast and the Furious, but a bunch of other movies too. And once she was getting in there to take over, she insisted that he be fired. They fired him. He's like, I don't want anyone to know that I was ever fired because I've never been fired in 26 years. Yeah. And then she reached out to the Deadpool composer, and he was already working on another movie. And she's like, I need you to compose this movie for me in 1 week. And he goes, I really need 3. She's like, you need to do it in 1 week. He did it in 1 week. Then she got the other song from Taylor. Yeah. So it's just more and more proof of how she took over and changed things that didn't need to be changed, that weren't her department. And she's revealed in interviews over and over that when you hire me, I act like I'm going to be the docile actress, but get ready. Yeah. I'm going to have my hands in everything. And
it is just amazing to me that they had one of the hit movies of the year, and they have managed to do so much to make both of them unemployable.
Do you think that with Justin? You think people wouldn't want to touch that either?
I don't know.
It's just a lot of ick on all 3 of them, I think.
Yes, he got dropped by his agents, right?
Yes, but that was right in the beginning.
Yes.
And I don't know. I think everybody can come back.
Yes. He does look real good in that pink suit.
They're both very attractive. All 3 of them are very attractive people. It's it's just, I find the reason people are fascinated by it is because to someone who's not in the business, you don't really know how all these things work. So the average person's learning how you can, fuck over the wardrobe person and wear your own clothes, and why that doesn't help with a character when you're a flower shop girl and you're wearing Yves Saint Laurent $2,500 boots. Just because you wanted to wear those boots, all those things is why people are interested.
Also, I don't know that much about the texting, but it does sound like a lot of actory bullshit, a lot of touchy-feely, lovey-dovey actory bullshit, which is going to happen when you have an actor as the director.
Right. And then also I said, if anybody agreed with her that he was a creep, I think they were just wanting to, have something in common with her. And also, I have no proof to this, but he strikes me as a close talker.
Yes.
A close actor talker that's looking in your eyes.
A little too sincere.
Yeah, a little too. And that's not a crime.
Right.
But then when she maybe went to the 2 other females, Isabella and Jenny Slate, and shared her stuff, I'm sure they were like, ugh, that would bug. That, he's like that. It could have been a little bit like that.
Yeah.
And now they're like, leave me alone. Taylor Swift is the godmother to some of her kids, and she has just completely ghosted her as far as publicly. We don't know if they're talking on the phone. She could have brought her to the game.
Do we need to bring chaperones back? Do you think that everything would just be better if we just had somebody's spinster aunt around at all times to make sure that there's no funny business?
I think it sucks because I think that we are just past a place of Me Too where things were kind of on track, that everybody kind of got it. Yeah. Not to be a creep and just work. And now this is going to throw a snafu in that, of everyone then going back to walking on eggshells and not being as free about what they want to talk about on set.
And there's also just the thing of you can have 999 people who tell legitimate, sincere stories of something bad happening, and one person trying to do that manipulatively, and that discredits everyone. It's people are so likely to be oh, she just made this up. And the vast majority of people are not making it up, and it doesn't help when you accuse somebody, and then there are text messages that make very clear that it's not real.
Exactly. Wait, I want to get to. Do you know about Shangela?
Okay, I know
Shangela from Drag Race.
I know about Shangela from
Shangela. Sorry.
I've worked with Shangela before, but I also know people who have been in situations with Shangela where shit happened to them.
Really?
Yes.
Well, let me fill in everybody. So Shangela is one of the most famous drag queens from Drag Race.
Uh-huh.
I met Shangela as a man.
Yeah, DJ.
At, I think, maybe Ross's wedding.
Yeah.
Ross Matthews. Total delight. Nice to me, okay? Doesn't matter. This story is from 2017. Not story, but this person has filed a lawsuit based on what happened to him in 2017. And basically he says he was with Shangela, but they used his real name, which is DJ Pierce. After working on something, got drinks, and doesn't remember anything else, woke up to one man, penetrating him while he watched, and then he joined in.
Yeah.
And why are they coming out now? That doesn't matter. This is what his story is. We'll see what happens. He is vehemently denying it.
Yeah.
Pierce is, Shangela. And I don't know. But I got an email sent to me yesterday that popped up that was from somebody that's like, I have something to tell you. And now I cannot find it. So if you sent it to me, will you please resend it? I cannot find it.
And it was about Shangela.
I mean, yeah. And but what were you saying? So you know people that have had
somebody who worked with Shangela, and then Shangela got them a drink, and then they were like, I should not be feeling this way after one drink. And
did they get out okay or no?
Yes.
But now thinking about it, they're like, yeah, that was always very weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
I only know the story that a friend I love and trust told me. And I also think when you point to it was 2017, why is it only coming out now? I think that so frequently for men, it is hard to be able to identify that that's something that can happen.
100%. Yeah. I'm saying I don't have a problem that it's from 2000. I'm just saying that people will always say that. And it's like, you don't know, and it doesn't matter. And that's why they changed the law that you can come many years after.
Yeah.
So, usually the evidence they use for that to make it a legit case is that victim, and he's not anonymous. I just don't have his name here right now, but he, probably told people that right away. There's probably texts or emails or some people that can say, yeah, I remember when this happened. He told me this, and he, so that his story, obviously, they just don't take a story is just because you say it. There's got to be enough evidence that they were hanging out that night. This did happen, and he probably shared it with someone.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
But he's saying it's not true, and he's like, people are just trying to take me down because I'm successful.
Yeah.
I'm, it's horrible to take down a black gay man who does drag, and that's why this is happening. And
yeah.
So that's that. So that's crazy. Thanks for that scoop. When it comes to cooking and eating, I've got a problem. The one is I don't have any food in my fridge because I hate going to the grocery store because I buy the stuff and then Peter complains that why did I buy all this, make nothing with it, and then we throw it away. Okay, we don't like to be wasteful. But I do like to cook and I want to eat healthy. And that's why I love Hungry Root. And I just made the best lemon pepper chicken dish with this cilantro lime rice. It was delicious, it was flavorful, and it was so easy. So Hungry Root is like having your personal nutritionalist. They take care of the stressful meal planning each week by recommending delicious recipes tailored to your tastes, nutrition preferences, and health goals. It's high quality, it's flavorful, from anti-inflammatory to gut-friendly, gluten-free or dairy-free, high protein, and more. You can choose them all. So easy, so delicious. You're going to love Hungry Root as much as I do. Take advantage of this exclusive offer for a limited time. Get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/juicyscoop and use code JuicyScoop. That's hungryroot.com/juicyscoop, code JuicyScoop, to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/juicyscoop, code JuicyScoop. Okay, so now let's get into So the messy behind the scenes drama on one of Netflix's most popular new shows. So this is Nobody Wants This. People really love this show. It's on Netflix. It's from one of the Foster girls.
Yes.
And the Foster girls are sisters who are David Foster's daughters from his marriage that he had before
Yolanda.
Brody. No, before Brody and Brand. So he was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he had these two daughters with wife 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Then he married Brody and Brandon Jenner's mom.
Yeah.
And didn't have any kids with her.
Yeah.
Then he married Yolanda.
Uh-huh.
Then he married Michelle. What's her name? The singer from American Idol. Catherine McPhee.
Okay.
And so these daughters became.
Who has custody of the lemon tree?
They sold that house. My love, I make you the lemon chicken. She's living her best life. She got a new guy and she lives in Dallas or Texas in a big house with like a lot of like riding pants. She still has a perfect body.
Never been happier than Amsterdam. I've never been happier than Amsterdam.
And I think she finally got over Lyme disease. I don't know. But anyway, getting to this. So you have some, the story is, so she sold the show idea.
Yes.
And the sisters have clothing. They have lots of success and they're funny. They kind of became famous on like social media and Twitter.
Yes.
And they're very self-deprecating. And the one girl fell in love with a rabbi and converted. And so they kind of came up with this show that like has 2 sisters doing a podcast, falls in love with a Jewish guy.
Yeah.
And in LA and, a very LA type of story. But I guess there were issues with the showrunners and her.
Well, they brought, why
don't you give us the scoop now?
The thing is like, Erin Foster has worked in television, but she's also done a lot of other things. Same could be said of me.
Yeah.
But they brought in really, really great showrunners, and what they produced was a very funny season of television that people have fallen in love with. There's so little success now. But then they got rid of those, like one
of the guys with Modern Family, right?
Right. Jack Burdett, Modern Family and 30 Rock, a real pro. And I think they started out with Erin showrunning it, and then they were like, we don't know about this, and they brought in pros. And it's always that interesting thing of like, am I being undercut because I am a woman and they don't trust me and they just want these guys to be in charge? But it's also...
Let me ask a question, because I don't even have the answer for it.
Yes.
As a showrunner...
Yes.
What are, like, let's say my show was being made.
Yes.
Since I've never been a showrunner before, I've been a writer, I've been an actor, and I can come up with the stories and stuff.
Yes.
But I would want someone like you that's done it, because you would know 5 steps ahead.
Because you have to be in all of the meetings and you have to be able to like take the notes, and it's also so much about a schedule. Like I've been on shows that are able to respect the schedule and everything goes fine. And then I've been on shows where people don't respect the schedule and it just becomes chaos and gets really bad, and the networks and studios get really... Is
a showrunner also in charge of hiring not just the writers and the actors, but like everybody?
Everybody.
Okay, so that's like a huge thing.
Yes.
That if you don't have the skill set for, why would you even want it, first of all?
Right. You're having to make sure that the art department does what it's supposed to do. And most of the time, that's because you hire an art director who you know and trust, and they can make sure it all happens.
But if you haven't worked on 10 other shows, how would you know who to hire?
Right. And so that was the thing. And so they've gotten rid of these 2 experienced, great showrunners, and are now bringing in Jenny Connor, who was
Weeds, right?
Girls.
Oh, Girls. Okay.
And so she's great, very talented, and I think it will go well. But I think it's this interesting thing of, because it is Erin Foster's life. It's got to be weird to have a show and it's your life, and then there are these 2 strangers who are deciding what are the good and bad versions of it. But it's also hard to write a show about your life, to be distanced enough from it to say, this is what's going to make good TV.
That's the classic of every time someone sold something about their show, their life. It's like, you've got to just go, yeah, this is a version of it. Yeah. And, I remember when I sold the story about my life in 2001, and it was about like a young girl working with her parents in real estate and like her brothers and all this stuff, who were like these 40-year-old guys that were kind of fuck ups and like living at the house. And I remember we sold it like that.
Yeah.
I do all the characters. Every pitch meeting was like hilarious. And then when we got to write it, they're like, we want to make the brothers into one, and we want to make him your younger brother.
Yeah.
And I was like, Well, all the funny situations were because of this.
Yeah.
And I just remember I was like, you know what? I'm 30 years old. If this show goes and I get a check in the mail and they run with it, like, this is not my end all be all.
Right.
So, but she doesn't need this show. She has all the money in the world from all these other businesses. So she's probably like, no. Like, and then also in this day and age of like, every time a man says anything, it's like, stop mansplaining, stop doing, like, instead of being like, thank you for your expertise. Why does that expertise would make the show better versus then just a man is telling me it should be different.
And also, like, Netflix has thrown so much at the wall, and this is like the one comedy that's just been a real success for them. You know, it's Kristen Bell and Adam Brody, and everybody loves them. And it's like, you want this thing to keep working. And it's so interesting to see these few areas of success have to necessarily also be places of conflict. And like, everyone I know who worked on the show had a really great time.
Yeah.
I think it's juicy and I want to know more.
I think if I was her, I would just I would love someone just to take the reins.
Yes,
I
let the checks roll in.
I'd just pop in and be like, here's 5 really funny stories.
Yes.
Do with what you want, and I'm going to go back to the beach.
Yes.
And hang out with my sister and designed, fun dresses that cost $400. Who cares?
Yes. Why?
But, that's good. Now, White Lotus 3. We're 2 episodes in.
Yes.
And Patrick, Maria Shriver's son.
Yes.
He's real cute. He's playing the part of there's a rich family.
Yes.
That's from the South. Love that they're from the South. Love that whole thing. They're from North Carolina. Parker Posey's amazing.
Gay guys who are coming for her accent can go fuck themselves. Parker Posey.
People are?
Yes. Parker Posey is fucking from Louisiana.
She's
like,
perfect.
She knows what she's doing. Like, the younger gays are getting to learn about Parker Posey means so much to me. She was like very meaningful to me.
Oh, I loved Best in Show, everything.
Amazing. But like, she's taken real big swings with the characters. With the character. I love it. I'm not as into this season as before.
I don't think anybody is, but I think what the problem is that we are forgetting how we felt the first 2 episodes of season 2.
All right, I like that.
First 2 episodes of season 2, they are in Italy. And I remember I was like, I'm not into this Italy thing. I'm a little bit bored. This isn't as good as Hawaii. I wish they just would have stayed in America.
Natasha.
And so I think he does this. I think Mike White, the genius of Mike White, is he sets it up a little slow in the beginning and also like doing the camera longer lingers on things because he wants people not to guess what's going to happen. And I think he wants to steer them in the wrong direction as a viewer. But this second episode, I literally fell asleep.
It feels really slow and also just sort of like morally simplistic. Oh, Patrick Schwarzenegger is a bad guy, like.
So what do you think about people hinting that they think that there's a incest in that family?
Okay, I definitely think that's the story, and I do think that will be juicy. Like, the fact, it's also weird and interesting to me that Mike White, a gay showrunner, would have a situation where the brother is looking lustfully at his own brother so much.
But I think that could just be, I think personally, it's not going to be an incest story.
Okay.
I think he's doing that to get people intrigued and sucked in, and there's going to be some other twist with this weird family that we never thought of that does not have to do with that.
I hope so. Because like White Lotus has been very juicy. I am annoyed with there's a way that TV continues to center a bunch of white famous people that we love by making the stories all about like, ugh, white people are so terrible. Aren't all white people rich and terrible? And it's like, there are a lot of white people who aren't rich, and I just think that there's a lot of so many shows like Search Party in its way. There have been so many different shows that are just like, well, we have to be preoccupied with white people. They're so terrible.
Well, first of all, while I like it so far, even though episode 2 is slow, it's not like I'm not going to give it up. I'm not giving it up. But I love the Parker Posey and that family. I have friends that live in North Carolina. Like, I was the type of person that from LA, like I didn't even know that like people were rich in the
Yes,
South. Like, and I was like, isn't all the rich people like? So I love the rich.
I just went to Charleston for the first time. It's amazing.
Yeah, so I kind of like that they chose that it wasn't a Manhattan family or an LA family. I love the 3, 48-year-old best friends.
I mean, of course you do.
That is, and the dynamic and the kind of, and that one is famous and she's treating everybody and they're talking behind the backs of the third. It's perfectly done.
Carrie Coons is the best. And then that other woman who does Ryan Murphy things is a delight.
So I love all that. Okay, one question.
Natasha Rothwell has been walking around just looking at the hotel for 2 episodes now.
She's the massage
therapist?
Okay, so let me ask a question. The massage therapist, she was in the first one.
Yes.
But not in the second, right?
Right.
Okay, I just want to make sure. And now she's at the third, still being the massage therapist, and we know her son is coming.
And is horny for the other massage therapist.
For the guy, the Asian massage, the Thailand. And then again, just like the Italian one, I didn't really like the staff like speaking in another language, me having to like read the subtitles. I know I'm sounding like a stupid dumb American,
the
but
way
like,
they're doing the subtitles is cool. But
I'm losing. I don't know what's going on with those 2 people working at the place, and that he likes her. But that's good. I shouldn't know, right? I should be intrigued.
Do you like the like juicy sex tourist older guys? I think that is interesting. You
think that's what they are with their 2 young girls?
Well, just sort of like the like older guy, younger woman, and then the guys who live there, and then just the whole notion of the guys who are losers anywhere else, like all of these older men with money who come.
Oh, see, I didn't see it like that. Yeah. I mean, listen, I think it's just going to get better and better. I think he has to lay the groundwork to like suck you in and make you question things. But
there's just something so pleasurable about Parker Posey has a face that hasn't been worked on a bunch. And
totally. She looks great.
It's also just like a different version of, like, it's kind of funny to me because we do have so many women over 50 in LA who have had a lot of work, who playing sort of like pilled up rich wife wouldn't make a lot of sense. But like, I like that this is a different version of a pilled up rich wife, Yeah,
I mean, she still looks really great.
She's gorgeous.
But Jennifer Coolidge had a full facelift.
Yeah.
After all of this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She looks amazing. And she lost a little bit of weight, and then I could tell she got the lids done, which is a very easy thing to do.
Blepharoplasty.
It's one thing.
My best friend got blepharoplasty.
It's one thing I don't need.
Yes.
Because my eyes are different. But for anyone that has like the lids that start to come down, it's like the easiest thing you can do.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that you can't really tell. Like you just look more alert. Like it's the best thing. If that's all you need, it's the best thing.
Did you watch the SNL 50 documentary on the auditions?
No, and I said I want that, and someone was like, "It's already on. It's on Peacock, so I have to watch it."
Yes, but they show they do a section of like these people did not get SNL and then had amazing careers, and they show Jennifer Coolidge's one of her auditions, and it's really cool.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I mean, it's amazing. It's so many people you know.
Well, I was all set to go. I was all set to go with my suitcase packed. I was going to bring Peter. I was going to go to the Hamptons after and hang out with my Aunt Claire.
Wait, you got invited to SNL 50?
No, to audition. To audition. And then they called. Then my manager goes, I have good news and bad. The good news is the MTV pilot that I did, which is what I used all the clips from.
Lyricist Lounge, yeah.
And is going.
Yeah.
And SNL will not take anyone that's in second position.
Yeah.
And it's 100% going. And he goes, and I've been begging with the producer to let you out of it. Mm-hmm. And they won't. And so then that's what I said. I never auditioned.
Well,
I had all the things, all the characters.
Speaking of Mike White, one of the things I thought was really great was how much Molly got screen time during SNL 50 and how much she was part of the promotion. And I was like, Molly is like
Molly Shannon.
Yes, she's like such a sweet retiring person.
She's the best.
But also is, rolling after she won an Emmy for White Lotus, right? You know, like it was nice seeing somebody as deserving and talented as her, like having heat.
I just remember one time I went to an SNL like taping and party.
Yeah.
When I was still at Groundlings, whatever. Some of the people I know, like Chris Parnell and stuff, like got me tickets, and I took my sister. And my sister's name is Shannon.
Yeah.
And I was hanging out with Molly Shannon, and I was drunk. and I kept calling her Shannon.
Oh.
And I remember her going, "My name is Molly." And it's like haunted. Like, it's one of those things that, like, just you mentioning her, that's all I remember from like 30 years ago.
It's really hard.
I hope she's okay with that.
We've all done very dumb things. I, in the very recent past.
Do you have things like that like haunt you?
Yes.
Can you share any of them?
Oh.
And you don't have to say names, but like one of those embarrassing things that like once every 2 months just like flashes like a movie of like horror.
Yes. There is a Black lesbian comedian who I have called by another Black lesbian comedian's name so many times. And in the worst of situations, and like at this point, I've apologized about it in ways that were cute and adorable, and I don't get to apologize again. Like, it's not okay.
Because you did it after the apology?
Yes, 100%.
Oh, fuck! I'm really bad with names.
Yes.
And to the point where I don't trust myself. So I'm almost like when I'm 99.99% sure that girl is Mary. But I'll be like, instead of saying, "Mary, this is my husband, Peter," I'll go, "So this is my husband." And then I just am so scared because
the pandemic made me so much worse because it was 2 years of not seeing anyone.
Right.
And like part of being a stand-up is just knowing an extra 1,000 people, you know? And it's terrible. Well, and also I was at, there's also the other thing of like, I went to that Shabbat last Friday.
Yeah.
And there were 3 people there. And I was just like, "Oh, have we met before?" And one of the guys was like, "Yeah, I think so." And it's like, the 2 guys were like very successful comedians. And one of their wives is like truly legitimately famous. And I was just like, "Oh, I didn't I should have realized, you know?" And you want to be respectful of people.
But see, the thing about you is that like no one's going to forget you.
Right.
Because there aren't any other guys walking around that look like you.
Yes.
Like you are not a typical looking guy.
Yes.
However, if you went on a cruise with a bunch of families, there are a lot of straight dads that could be mistaken for you.
Yes.
If you wore a tank top with a shirt that says "Ship Happens," we might be like, "I think I've seen you around." But as a Hollywood personality, you're too memorable. You have a memorable laugh, like, But I have to say, in your defense, there's a lot of other men in this business that look very similar. A lot of women, thanks to plastic surgery, that are very hard to tell apart. Like, it's crazy how much women more than ever. It's insane.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, God, if you're a young actress, don't get those lips done. They picked that girl with her bad teeth.
I mean,
the girl with the weird teeth.
Who has
in the White Lotus?
Oh,
and they even address it. They're like, "I love your teeth."
The older guy's British girlfriend.
Yeah, and I'm like, have something. Now I feel like casting directors and producers are going to want to choose that actress that that Lauren Bacall, like that, like different looking. That they don't have the perfect white chiclet teeth. They don't have the perfect profile.
Yeah.
Like but you can still be sexy and appealing because that's more than just a perfect face.
I feel like all the quirky now has to go towards Nepo babies. I feel like all the quirky is just like, well, you do kind of look like Uma Thurman, because you're half Uma Thurman.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have to talk about this.
Okay.
Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Tell me your thoughts on the season.
The notion of Dorit having an entire season resting on her shoulders would have been chilling to me before.
Chilling.
I have been stunned and amazed by how effectively she has managed it. The slaying of Camille Grammer was one of the most amazing things that I've ever seen.
When she at the Denim and Diamonds?
Yes, that she understood, because I really thought when they showed the promos of her saying that, I was like, she's going to come for Garcelle and she's not going to be able to handle what comes to her. And the thing is her taking down Camille in that way showed everybody there, you better have some respect. Is her name Boz?
Yes, she's the new girl.
Boz has been fucking killing the dynamics of this season, understanding that like what you need is somebody backing up Dorit so that there is a real dynamic here. Kyle is dull as dishwater. Everything that has happened since she got sober and had her Morgan times has just been tiring to me. Now I'm starting to have sympathy for her. I'm like, don't you realize you and Mo would just be happier together? Even if he is fucking women in Spain, you would still just
she kind of says that in last night's episode. She kind of was like...
I still haven't watched last night.
Okay,
sorry.
so last night's episode, she has like her therapist guy come over.
Yes.
And, this is like 7-8 months ago or whatever when they filmed it. And she says, it would have been the summer. So they're in the summer. He's in, took Portia to Europe. And she's like, I mean, like, I don't know. Now, what if we don't end up what if we don't end up together? Or we're like, what if he does want to get back together? And she said, I'm so hurt because he said, I didn't think I could ever be on my own, but I guess I can.
Yeah.
And she wanted him to say, I didn't think I could ever live without you. But it's more about like, I just didn't want to be alone. Now I know how to buy sheets and do Uber Eats. Like, I don't know what. And so now next week we see that the news pops that he is in Europe, no longer with Portia, the daughter, and this young blonde meets him at the airport, and paparazzi gets photos, and they're clearly a couple.
This was not his choice. Like, I mean, we can say, oh, he was messing around with her or whatever before. Like, this is about her little midlife crisis with Morgan that she can't admit to. Like, and it's very frustrating to me.
I go back and forth.
Yes.
I think she had her midlife crisis. I think she slides in famous people's DMs, girls too. She did it with Kesha.
Yeah.
I think maybe as a couple, they did dabble in threesomes.
Yes.
I don't think this is the first time around a bean that she's been. You know, like I think she knows what to do down there. And I think she did, have some fun with Morgan. But now I think that they are still just friends. I think they are just friends that at one time hung out.
Her and Morgan or her and Mauricio?
Her and Morgan.
Oh, yes. Like, Morgan has clearly moved along. I don't know if Kyle knows what life looks for her now, but the shit she pulled with Dorit at last season's reunion was not okay.
Which was it? Remind me.
Saying we weren't even really friends.
Oh, that's so mean. Yeah.
Like, it was so fucking mean.
Yeah.
And like, fucking good that Dorit, all Dorit did was say, you kind of dropped me for this. And Dorit could have said to her, you were having your little fucking midlife crisis, and that's why you did that, and that's why you turned on me. And she didn't. But like, that Dorit has held her own, has made me so happy. The bullshit, like, I do love when we get into a California community property. It's just sort of short of 10 years. Like, that is juicy and interesting to me. PK was a bad character, and I'm glad that he's gone. I'm sorry I didn't watch last night.
Okay, but
I do think the responsibility is on Garcelle motherfucking Beauvais to find a path here. Nobody else is in charge. And Garcelle is the only person, I think, with the intelligence and capability.
To do what? What is she supposed to do?
I don't know, to get these bitches back in line. To have a real talk with Kyle Richards.
Okay, this is what I think. I think that Bose, I like the addition of her.
Yes.
But as someone who's watched this show forever.
You don't think she'll last?
I know. I think that when she is talking like to Dorit and calling people out, I like that.
Yes.
But her storyline, I think, is 100% fake about wanting a baby at 48.
Yes.
It's 100% fake. And I think that if she is this person who is in marketing, she has studied the show, realized I need to have something going on besides commenting on the other women. My daughter has a good life. I'm not going to expose her boyfriend situation. Yeah. My husband is dead. I'm going to do the storyline that everybody does. Ramona did it. Remember in New York where she was like, I might be having, I don't know, my period's really late. Remember? And then also Kim was like, I'm having another baby to Kyle.
Yes.
It's like something that people do. But I think last night's episode, she has an infertility person come to her house and look at her stomach, her uterus, and say, oh, you still have a couple eggs at 48. And then the fertility woman the doctor goes, well, after 45, for you to have your own baby with your own egg, it's less than a 2% chance. And she's like, it is? I'm like, okay, girl, I knew that at like 18, that you had these years to get pregnant naturally. Everyone knows it. You're in Beverly Hills. You know so I don't believe this baby storyline, and I think it's insensitive to people that really struggle and want to have hope to have their kid.
You think it's callously insincere?
I do, but I like everything else about her. I just don't like that she's gone this far with this, I believe, fake storyline, but she is the only one that will tell the truth.
Doing something like a fun little surrogacy storyline could be like light and interesting, but it's not going to do the real work of giving her a real story. I think she needs to either start a business or just get really mad at one of them.
The other thing is, some people don't believe that the boyfriend is real.
Oh. It's like
there's a rumor I heard.
Yes.
That, that he, whatever, a couple years ago, he was like a production assistant. I don't know if that's true.
There need to be more real relationships. We're at a point in time where nobody there has a marriage or a real relationship. And like
that lacks a lot.
It leaves it unbalanced. You want to have, it was always Kyle's great source of strength. Kyle and Ramona both having this marriage that they were able to rely on. And
then that's the other thing that Kyle said, which is pretty interesting last night, is she goes, I was always so proud that I had stayed married this long. And that's also really hard because you have a right to get divorced, even if you're everybody in the Bravo's universe couple goals. Like, and she probably maybe wanted to break free of him earlier from his cheating, but she couldn't because she was like, this is my greatest accomplishment as a Beverly Hills TV person, that I've managed to stay married and he still acts into me, even though he probably has been fucking people on the side for 10 years.
And also that she had been so Hollywood for so long, that she had been C. Thomas Howell's girlfriend and all of these people, but that she had this like really kind of domestic, like, I'm married into a big Jewish family that does Shabbats together. We're just, good Beverly Hills folks. How
do you feel? We've not talked about Sutton.
Oh.
How do you feel about Sutton and her anger towards Dorit about Dorit poking at her alcohol issues?
Okay. I hate Sutton.
Okay.
This season has made me appreciate what she brings to the table a little more. Also, I think seeing her mom and understanding just how self-absorbed that woman is makes me understand a little bit better Sutton's narcissism. But
so last night,
yes,
you missed it. They're at this caftan and caviar party that Jennifer.
Can we have a caftan and caviar party?
I think we have to. And Jennifer Tilly, with all her Simpsons money and just her great attitude about life, she throws it.
The biggest addition to the show. She's just everything.
She's just a joy.
Yes.
And she's a rich joy.
Yes.
And she doesn't give a fuck.
Yes.
She's got nothing to lose.
She's got an Academy Award nomination and Simpsons money.
She said last night on Watch Home's Live, he goes, are you enjoying it? She goes, it's kind of like when you get a massage, but it's a hard massage, and you're like, this kind of hurts, but am I enjoying it or am I not? Or will I be happier after? Like, it was really kind of funny. So I like her just commenting on anything.
Yes.
Because her attitude is so great. But it was so funny because when we watched the show, Drake, my 22-year-old, goes, wait, that girl's like a really good poker player. That's how he knew her.
No,
he knew her for being a poker player.
It's wonderful.
She's a poker player.
The most amazing thing about Jennifer Tilly joining Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is the season of traitors that she goes on is going to be
I hope she does it if she gets asked.
Yes.
Just so she can go shopping after. So she throws this party at this place called Caspian or something that actually exists in Beverly Hills.
Yes, it's the place where you go for caviar.
Okay, so you can get a baked potato with the caviar, and based on the caviar, it can be anywhere from $250 to $1,000.
Amazing.
So she has this party. Everyone has to wear a caftan, but Dorit didn't read the invite, so she just came in like a belted Dior dress.
Dorit's not allowed to do that. Of all of the women there, Dorit is not the person who is allowed to.
Could have killed it in a caftan. Yeah, she would have had the best one.
Yes, and it's like, I realize that what she's performing now is, I'm divorcing. I can't pay attention to anything. But like, Dorit's not allowed.
Okay, so right away, Sutton is just really still pissed at Dorit about the 4th of July, her being like, you're asking Sutton if there's alcohol in her drink. So anyway, so then Sutton is like, and she's just like really trying, and she's just so mad at her. And she says to her, why don't you, maybe you need to go after someone that is something about the wallet. Like, my wallet's bigger than you.
Yes.
And Erica is like, whoa. And Garcella's like, what? And then Dorit in her confessional is like, just when you think that Sutton couldn't make herself look worse, she does it. Case closed, but in Sutton's defense, she's like, you want to be richer than you are. You spend, which we all know, she's spending, $5,000 an outfit. Her house is in pre-foreclosure. She doesn't have the Beverly Beach, bikinis anymore. What is she going to do? She will get another rich billionaire, I'm convinced.
No, okay, so that was what I was going to say.
She's going to Lauren Sanchez it, 100%.
She has earned another season, I think.
Oh, yeah. We need to see her date.
And also, Dorit Kemsley is a fucking closer, okay? We've all seen what Dorit looked like when she was 20.
Yeah.
Like, she built this so that she could catch a man. She understands that this fig will not be long on the tree. I truly think she has one season to find a man and one season to have a wedding that will have lots of events and issues.
Yes.
But if she could get somebody, the most insufferable thing about Sutton is all of Christian's money. And
so then she goes, really? You're going to brag about your money? That's your husband's money.
Yes.
He made it. It's not from the Sutton store.
Because my argument is always when she was going after fucking Erica, it's like, you don't fucking know how many people got killed for Christian's money. Like, you get to have clean hands.
Right. That's a good point. You don't really know where it comes from. And then to be snobby about it when you didn't really build it. Yeah, so I liked this season. I think this season is good. I think there's lots of layers to it.
I think it's really good. I just want Kyle to find a new base level because so much of what she did before.
Does she ever come out as a lesbian? I don't think so because I don't think she really is one. I think she messed around with Morgan. Morgan was like, I got what I needed out of it. I don't want to be known as the Bravo celebrity lesbian. I'm a singer. But we are friends. They have a real friendship. And she will be with a guy next. She will not be with a woman.
I think she could potentially find the powerful lady who would give her what she needs and everything.
I would love that.
I think it's not probable. I think she ends up back with Mauricio.
Whoa.
I think she lands back there.
And let him still fuck on the side, or he has to give that up? I think he cannot publicly fuck on the side if they get back together.
Yes.
Or even privately.
But I think
he's got to get it out of his system.
I think privately he can. I think they need to learn to get better at privately.
I think she's bummed that she ever just didn't keep it don't ask, don't tell policy like a lot of women have.
Yeah. But I think Dorit needs to find a man in his 60s who will be annoyed with having to make Real Housewives, but who has enough money that she can make herself look, get the outfits.
I think it was Dorit who said last night about Sutton. The only thing that her money's gotten or something, the only date that she got is a horse, like something like that. Okay. Do you know what is going on with Caroline Kennedy's son?
Oh, no.
Trachtenberg? What's her real last name?
Oh, Jack Schlossberg.
Yeah. Do you know what's happening with him?
I know that he's TikTok famous and he keeps doing silly things.
I don't get it though.
He's goofy and funny, but still slightly political about stuff.
But then he went away.
Uh-huh.
Then he came back.
Yes.
And I'm kind of fascinated because he's definitely looks like JFK Jr., but not as hot.
But also the fact that he got all
but he hates RFK.
He got all the torso genes. I do love that it's just legitimately the same torso
He's writing
as 1987 Martha's Vineyard.
I guarantee you, as soon if he's still on, social media, as soon as it gets warm enough, he is going to ride his bicycle around without a shirt, just like his uncle.
But I am does he have a law job? What is he?
They said he graduated, all this other stuff.
Yes, he passed the bar.
He passed the bar, but this is what he does, and he's doing these weird jokes.
Yes.
About JD Vance's wife that we could have been together.
Yeah.
And then I read the comments and everybody's like, you're the greatest. This is so amazing. This is so funny. And I'm like, can someone just explain what is going on? I don't get what the point of view is.
He does have this goofy, strange, TikTok-y sense of humor that is like, it's just so clearly not something that is coming out of a TV show or something like that that would be, you know, have had 3 older gentlemen who are like, that joke's not funny.
I couldn't figure out that guy, but I figured out what's going on with Bad Baby.
Uh-huh.
That's Catch Me Out. I might be saying her name wrong.
Yes.
Catch Me Outside Girl.
Yes.
So she and Alabama Barker, Travis Barker's daughter.
Yes.
They're having diss tracks go back and forth in rap. I understand that story, and I don't understand what this guy's doing.
I have questions about the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
Okay, ask away.
No. I just mean, like, are they just doing this to make themselves bigger stars than before? Could there possibly be advantage from it? Like, one year when I worked the VMAs, I watched Miley and Nicki Minaj plan a rivalry. You know what I mean?
Saw it happen?
Yes.
What were they saying to each other?
Like, they were just sort of like, they were with their teams and they were planning separately, like the things that they were going to do. You didn't see them interacting, but you saw the plans for what they were going to do for each other. And I do wonder, it's like, clearly what Kendrick Lamar and Drake were doing was not mutually planned. It hurt Drake and has helped Kendrick Lamar. But there is this thing of like, can we make a better career out of fighting with each other that I think is interesting.
I definitely don't think that with Blake and Justin.
Yeah.
Can they make lemonade out of it a couple of years down the road? Possibly. Something okay could come from it. I don't know. But no. But with these two girls, with the Alabama, like the Bad Baby or whatever her name is, it's like, you know, tatted up and is a rapper and like has some pretty good raps and like has a baby daddy who's, you know, I don't even know. I was like, all these like things. Alabama Barker's only 18 years old. She puts out this diss or whatever, this track, saying that basically that Alabama, and she calls her Miss Whitney or Miss Whitley. And then they're calling her that because Alabama Barker is named after the character of Alabama in the movie that Travis and his wife Shannon Moakler loved.
Yes.
That I can't name it, and the character's last name was that.
Yeah.
Like so she does like all the different like Easter egg things, which I'm pretty impressed with. Like I was like, that's pretty clever. And then but she's talking about how she's had all this body counts, like she's such a slut, and that even Tyga has gotten her pregnant and all this stuff. And that one I'm like, I think maybe those two girls are in on something.
Yes.
Or they both just know it, but they don't really hate each other.
I just want to say here publicly to Jack Schlossberg, if anybody has access to Jack Schlossberg, get 2 good writers. Like, one thing I did do is after he became famous again, I went into...
the Jack.
Yes. After he started becoming like TikTok famous, I went into a hole about who inherited JFK Jr.'s money. And it was basically because... Carolyn Bessette Kennedy died at the same time as him, that all of it went to Caroline Kennedy Schlossberg's kids. So like,
and you know her parents, I remember this because her sister died too.
Yes,
Caroline Kennedy's sister. The parents did try to do some, which I remember, to try to say, well, based on where the plane is and where they were sitting, they would have died after him.
Right.
But of course, that was a hard thing to prove. So it all went to his kids. Okay.
Yes. And so like they have money.
Oh, yeah.
Like around. He's got the money. Like pay for 2 people who are just like coming up with concepts for you and can help you guide your comedy voice. After
watching him just be like a weirdo in New York or whatever he's doing, I have so much respect for JFK Jr. that he was riding that bicycle to be a DA and like literally doing cases and prosecuting people.
Yes.
I'm like, you were the president's son.
Right.
And like you're working like a fucking hard job that pays very little because you didn't want everyone just to think you were this guy with good hair.
Well, yes, and I think that's because that's what Jackie was really scared of. Like, Jackie simultaneously married the billionaire to get some billionaire money, but didn't want her children to be embarrassed.
JFK Jr. wanted to be an actor.
Yes.
He wanted to study. He wanted to do that at Brown. And she's like, enough. You can do a play on the side.
I mean, that is always sad when they.
I know. He came to the Groundlings too.
Oh, really?
He came to it because he was friends with one of the guys in it.
But it is interesting when like the kids have poetry in their soul, and the family is like, no, you can't have poetry.
I know. That's what's so great. Like, people are like, how did your parents feel like when you wanted to be a comedian? I'm like, we weren't a family of doctors. We weren't a family of politicians. They were thrilled. They were like, let's go to a cute dinner before.
I listened to the Bush Girls audiobook. It's so good.
From when? From like 10 years ago?
Yes, from like 2017.
Okay.
I was in a sad
President Bush's daughters?
Yes. I was in a sad place, and I ended up watching a bunch of YouTube videos that then ended up on Laura and Barbara Bush being interviewed for some reason. And then that took me to the Bush Girls promoting their just thinking about political families with New England.
Speaking of political things, how do you feel about Monica Lewinsky? She finally has got a podcast. She finally has a podcast.
I mean, I honestly think that she has guided her career pretty admirably. Considering where she started out, I think she's been pretty smart about the whole thing. I think there was some like maybe the handbags and hosting that one Fox reality show were bad moves, but I think it's been good. And like,
she looks gorgeous.
Yes, I mean, she's always had amazing hair. Like, she's always like, yeah.
She looks young because she doesn't have kids, so that keeps you young. And then
is she married?
Never been married, never
Yeah.
had kids. And I feel badly because I remember when that whole thing was going down, I was like, I don't know. Like, I mean, in those days, things like this mattered.
Yeah.
Now it's like, now, if she would have got caught like with the president as a 21-year-old intern and it was Obama even, her career would have skyrocketed. She would have been making millions. She would have been revered. Everyone would have been like, oh my God, we love it. It's great.
Yeah.
It would have been she would have been like a Kardashian. It would have been a completely thing. But back then, she's my generation. Back then, we were still wanting to get married and have kids before we're 30.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing this and I'm like, this girl from Brentwood, this just ruined her chances of ever, like, not that she cares. I'm just telling you what the mindset was that this was not going to be easy for someone to fall in love and get married after all this
But
scandal.
the question of like, do I want to listen to their podcast? I do not want to listen to Hawk to a Girls podcast. I don't know that if podcasts had existed in 2000 that I would have cared to listen to a early 30s Monica Lewinsky talk. But I think 50 with a couple of graduate degrees and like life experience, like, you know, she whining about online bullying. I honestly think children need to be exposed to slightly more bullying these days, learn some conflict resolution. But like, I'm interested to hear her perspective.
I also think she did an interview and she said someone did a study or whatever, and when Jay Leno was retiring, and he did the single most jokes about me.
Yeah.
And I was a non-public person.
Right.
And I thought that was really interesting because that's kind of the old, like, as far as being in this business, as you talk about people, it's like, can they be deemed not a public person? Because if you're talking about someone who's not a public person and you're saying their name and everything and it's defamatory, then they have a thing. But if it's like,
I mean, but like, whether you're a public person or not is such an interesting status. Like, one could argue that the minute you blow the president, you're an adult, you blow the president in the White House, legally you're a public person, you know? And I think it's really hard when you have some people who want to utilize their children or family for good press, and then they want to say, but not for bad press. And it's like, that's not real. You have utilized this person for press, you know, when it comes to political children and stuff like that.
Do you think she'll ever reveal if she voted for Hillary or not?
Oh, that's so interesting. I'm
just gonna guess that she just didn't vote.
Yeah, I think she probably just didn't vote. I mean, that is such a rough situation.
Because it wasn't. I mean, Hillary was like not supportive. Like,
no, I mean, like that.
She was not like, how dare you? This was a young girl that just got out of school. It was like, we're just gonna act like this, you know, didn't happen. And how crazy though? Like, what if? Wouldn't it be insane if they did somehow like end up together. If something was to happen to Hillary and he like picked up the phone and they met was like
that would be hilarious, and only Bill Clinton would have the audacity to do that.
I think he would.
But also I think you're the only person in the world who would ever imagine that.
I'm totally imagining it, and I have been for a while. Because
I loved that series so much.
I love that series. Got me so fucking hot.
And it was also
I had like sex dreams about Bill Clinton,
and it shifted the way I thought about Beanie Feldstein. I was just like, you have become 3 steps sexier in my life, Beanie Feldstein.
Yeah. What I wonder is, did Monica Lewinsky get any money from those shows written about her?
Oh, I would imagine she didn't.
She would not, right?
Right.
Because there is no, I mean, you're just like based on the article of whatever, and it's
public.
not.
It's public.
Yeah, it's public. Now it's public. All right, we are going to let you go. Tell everybody like where they can follow you. What is going on with your life?
Across all social media, I'm at Guy Branum, except I'm Guy Branum Comedian on TikTok, I think. I have shows on February 27th, March
Stand-up
4th,
shows.
and March 6th, and April 4th at the Lyric Hyperion here. And then
fun.
I'm going to be releasing some tour dates where I am taking my one-person show around America a little bit.
And why do you call it? So it's not stand-up. It's kind of more of a storytelling one-man show about your life, or what is it?
Yes, it's like a little more multimedia. It's a little more like concepts and ideas.
I love that.
With jokes. Yeah.
Oh my God, when can I see that? Is there like a preview?
Yes, I'm doing it here.
It's that.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were doing something different there, and then you're taking another show on the road.
No, but yes, this is me still working it out. So
I want to come to that.
If you did want to come and then like provide me with your thoughts and stuff, I would appreciate it, because you are somebody who would be very likely to. You're good at being like, this was boring to me and this was interesting to me.
What if I just steal it for my own? And I just take on the persona of a gay boy that was raised on. You're kind of raised in a rural area, right?
Yes.
And you're like, you're like, Heather, that story is not yours.
As long as you just get a good bald cap, that's all I worry about.
Oh my God, did you see that person that got caught for wearing a wig with all the cocaine in it?
Oh no, that's amazing.
And they cut off the wig and it's all this coke.
Oh, can I make a public service announcement before we're done though? One of my biggest pet peeves is not actors wearing fat suits. It is making jokes about having to wear the fat suit when they win awards. Just like when they make jokes about having, like Jared Leto talking about having to be shaved all over to play a trans woman, or when people are like, oh, I had to kiss this man when they win an award for playing a gay guy. Just don't make, at the WGA Awards, the lady from The Penguin made a joke about it. Oh, it's so hot in that fat suit. But Colin Farrell didn't when he won the SAG Award. And I just want to say, my PSA is just like, please don't make the joke. Like, please don't add insult to injury.
Did what's his name who won for The Whale? Did he ever say that?
Oh, of course. Of course. Yes. I mean, they love doing, when you do that, you have to do a little video about it. It took 6 hours to get him into an outfit so he could kind of look like Guy.
Guy Branum, I love you.
I love you
Thank
very much.
you. Everybody, go to heathermcdonald.net and join my Patreon. I've got over 800 episodes, all commercial free, all the juiciest shit about my life. I'm going to do a special thing about Ask Me Questions. I'm going to answer all the questions you've been wanting on the Juicy Crimes tier. It's all juicy. It's all good. Love you. Bye.